So my name is Tom Hynek from IDEO in Munich. I'm part of the health and wellness practice there. The pattern recognition part of the 180 program is perhaps the most trickiest because you have to do a lot of abstract thinking. You're collecting an enormous amount of data and you have to synthesize that into manageable parts that are related to each other. So it requires a kind of thinking among the group, and that's when teamwork is so crucial. Teams are built from different disciplines, different backgrounds, different levels of experience, and that's really, really important in doing this kind of work because you can do many kinds of information gathering, doing ethnographic type of interviews and so forth, or observations. But each team member will see that data differently. They'll see the things, they'll hear things, and they'll interpret them in a different way, which is extremely rich. And that's really the heart of getting good data out of your synthesis, or putting yourself in a good direction forward for ideation. So really it's the question is what makes people tick? I mean, I love this photograph. When we design concepts, product, services, systems, we need to understand what they love, what they hate, what they aspire to be, what embarrasses them, successes and failures. There's so much to learn about people depending on what we're looking at specifically. That's why these broad topics are particularly challenging around healthy living, because we're looking at a very, very broad spectrum of human behavior and emotion. I think it's going to be great because we're at a stage from Module 3 where they're still exploring the question around healthy living, that topic. Now they've narrowed that down and they're expanding out again. We really believe in this notion of contraction and expansion. You open the question wide up to find out what potential areas, issues, problems, who are the stakeholders involved, and you start to collapse it down again. When you start to see some patterns, when you start to see some themes, some opportunities for design or innovation, and then you open it up again when you're going into the ideation phase. So it's very critical to have this oscillating model of opening up and closing down again. If you look at them through the right lenses and you come up with a really deep perspective on their needs and their behaviors, you can start creating staged innovations. So you're staying ahead of the competition. So you come up with a new idea, and it might be based on a beginning of a platform. But first you get people hooked into the idea, and then comes the next idea, so you're way ahead of the competition. The most critical part of this program, from my perspective, is that the team gel. They have to have a very good dynamic, and they have to be able to exchange ideas in a very kind of mature and professional way. That's the only way the work can continue to go forward. This is not a typical approach they teach in innovation programs at all, this practical component. But working at IDEO, this is the kind of work we do every day, and it's essentially the greatest value we deliver to our clients, is this kind of teamwork, this ability to see a problem through the fog and build on that through pushing ideas forward through ideation. Focusing on people helps us understand where the opportunities are. That's why doing ethnographic style of research is important. So it's not technology driving innovation, it's people driving innovation. Apart from the great tools like the Hub out there that they can use to upload documents and share, it's really critical to stay in touch with each other and to stay in touch with the material, the content. And after Module 4, they're going to have a very, very clear understanding of where they need to go, which tasks have to be done, who's responsible for what. And so I feel a lot of unity amongst the teams, which is really great. And that's a key motivator to continue the work forward. It does have some challenges, but I think if you manage those and everyone knows what their goal is and what their task is, it can be achieved.
.180 was created on the basis of the need of bringing more radical concepts to the world. So some of the leading companies in the world created 180 on the basis of their needs to educate their people, their best people, in radical innovation. What we do is that we throw the students into spaces where they don't feel comfortable, so they get out of their normal comfort zones. And by doing so, we give them a chance to remove the blinders, but being in that space can be a place to be that's not, doesn't feel comfortable for a lot of people. So during the last few modules, we've had some frustration and confusion, but now we have a feeling that for the students, things are beginning to fall into place, so that they can begin to recognize some patterns and see some structures that can bring them to start ideation and start creating the innovative concepts that we have been working to gain insight within.
Now moving on to this next section about observations, how and where to look. Of course we want to look at all four of these, the physical, the psychological, the cultural, and the social. And it's really, really important to go beyond what people say, because they say things and they do things, but we have to understand how they're thinking and feeling while they're doing that.